Welcome to Respawn Aim Fire, episode 160. I totally fucked that up. Welcome to Respawn. I just blanked for a second. Welcome to Respawn Aim Fire, episode 160, the kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast from Affable Idiots. My name is Holden DePardo, and I'm here with the butt of
Chad Michael Linus, a.k.a. La Ciudad de Mexico. I'll see your dad in Mexico.
And we've got the dreamiest fan base of all time and Chad's butt joining us from all over the world right now. Every Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern, put us in your ears with your favorite podcast service, or put us in your eyes by searching for Respawn Aim Fire on the YouTube. That's right, we've gone into the world of the third dimension with 2D video. And if you want to add the fourth dimension of time, you're already here on twitch.tv/affableidiots. We're recording Sunday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, like I said we're doing right now. Tuesday's episode is brought to you by Affable Idiots, which we'll tell you about later on in the episode. That's it for the housekeeping. We've got a really good episode. We've got next-gen game footage to finally talk about. Another rumor of PS5 reveal event of some kind. We got financial funness from Nintendo and EA. And we got a pretty cool video of Prince of Persia Redemption.
Pretty cool.
Very cool. Before all that, though, we're going to get something else very cool, which is Game Court, a tourney-based strategy for determining game character guilt. Every week we put your favorite video game characters and villains on trial for the heinous crimes they've committed. Chad and I will argue for and against the defendant, and it's up to you, the audience, to decide on Twitter in the following days the fate of said character. This week our defendant is none other than Dallas Smith.
Oh, shit.
Oh. Before we get to that crime, though, thanks, Dallas, for pointing out I fucked it up. I appreciate the support. So, we had to go over the results from last week.
Last week, because this is a phenomenon. It's an anomaly. That's what I meant to say. It's an anomaly. It's an Mona-Lisa, that terrible movie.
The Elite Four and Ash Ketchum were on trial for animal cruelty, being prosecuted by the state, and the verdict was
Guilty of animal cruelty. Thank you, everyone, for finally coming to my side and agreeing with what's right in this world. They will now be going to jail in Russia, where the punishment is beheading.
Wow,
of
that's
their
pretty
Pokemon.
serious.
They're killing the Pokemon because, after a life of battling like that, it's like they can't go live a normal life.
What do you think would be better, going to Russia and getting beheaded, or going to China and having your entire existence disappear as if you never even lived ever? What would be worse? I don't know.
Russia.
Okay, I think maybe, yeah.
But this week,
because you could disappear to a really nice island that's like Animal Crossing New Horizons or something
Russia
like that.
would be better for me.
You could.
I would hate that.
We could. But Chad,
this week,
run us through.
Yes, we are putting on trial the real life person Dallas Smith for the murder of Alexander Kozina, the other real life person. Now you might be saying, what are you talking about? We can't make judgments about people in real life. We're not the government. We are more than government. We are Respawn Aim Fire. Let's take a look at the clip. Objectively, sorry, me as the judge, I am honorable judge Butt Scratcher. Butt Scratcher, all rise.
It gets me every time.
Honorable Judge Butt Scratcher will hear.
Sorry, when the judge stands
we will
up.
objectively describe the crime based on the evidence that you see on the screen before you. We have the body cam of an officer on location by the name of Matt from RI. In the body cam, you can clearly see Alex Kozina on his way, probably to board up a wall or something like that. A charge laid on the ground in front of him. And you can see Dallas going by the name DF and Smitty. That's his soldier name, DF and Smitty. Waits until Alex crawls over the bomb to explode it. And then we see everyone continues about their day like normal, gathering armor from a bag and continuing their mission. That's the objective evidence that you see on the screen right now, on repeat. Holden, you're the prosecution. No, yes. You're the prosecution. I'm the defense. One of these days, I'll know this going into it. Because you're the prosecution, you get to say your opening statement. Go.
Yes. I mean, like our judge just laid out for us, this is clear-cut footage of Alex Kozina being blown up by a mine that was set off by Dallas. But what's not known from just the clip is that Dallas isn't actually in any sort of law enforcement agency. So not only was he impersonating an officer, but he killed another officer while impersonating another officer. That's a double crime that is fraudulent. It's maniacal and dangerous. And we cannot allow this person, Dallas Smith, to wander the streets. He can disguise himself as anything, in this case, as a police officer. And no one else, as the judge pointed out, does anything. They don't say anything. They don't do anything. Why? Because they're terrified. They realize the circumstances they've gotten themselves in and the danger that Dallas Smith has not just put Alex Kozina tragically, but has endangered the lives of every other soldier or law enforcement officer in that room with him. We are charging for impersonating an officer and murder.
Okay. Thank you very much. We have our defense. Please provide your opening statement. Thank you, Butt Scratcher. This was not my plan coming into today, but I agree with the prosecution. We have word from special surprise witness Chad Michael Innes, who was playing the other night and was also shot in the head by Dallas. The defense has no further statements, Your Honor.
Prosecution, come back here for a second. I do have to, for the record, just let it be known that Dallas didn't even say that he was innocent. He just said Enoch in the chat. INNOC.
Could be innocuous.
So
Could be inoculated.
he's not claiming any innocence or guilt. I'm just basically he's pleading the fifth, which is suspicious.
So that is it for Game Court this week. It is up to you in the coming weeks, in the coming days, to cast your vote as the jury as to whether you believe everyone involved that he's guilty, or whether you want to go with your gut or Dallas saying he's innocuous and saying
I don't know.
innocent.
Dallas says he wants to testify. I think it's a really bad idea because you need a lawyer, dude. You just said you deserved it. You want the truth. You can't handle the truth. I call myself to the state. He says, I got to tell you, saying you deserved it is not you lost.
The Honorable Judge Butt Scratcher calls this episode of Game Court adjourned. Oh, that was my knuckles on the table and it hurt a lot. Let's move on.
Moving on to playtime. I played a lot of the same stuff this week, but Chad has something new to talk about.
I did. Well, you played some of this with me too. One of the things we played was Rainbow Six Siege, the new Grand Larceny event that's available through May 19th. So if you like what you hear here, two different spellings of that word, they're homonyms. If you like what you hear here,
We love you too, Dallas.
you can go play it still. The Grand Larceny event is a new mode in Rainbow Six Siege where you get to choose from, 16 different operators that you normally might not have access to. And it's all 1920s based. And you are, rather than defending a location, sorry, I have the hiccups right now and I'm hiccuping chicken tacos up. You are not defending a bomb or a hostage. There are just safes everywhere. And you're trying to keep the other team from cracking 3 safes by either killing them or running out the clock. I had a ton of fun with this. It brought something fresh to Rainbow Six Siege, which already I have fun and it is replayable enough to keep my interest week after week. But playing this event, all the floors being destructible added a whole new strategy. Like, oh my god, there's a safe on the 3rd floor, but if I just get on the basement and just keep shooting shotgun shots into the ceiling over and over and over, it'll drop it all the way down, which also allowed you to have a strategy of I'm going to keep a safe on floor 1, but I'm going to be up on floor 3 and shoot holes through it, and then when somebody goes down there and starts cracking that safe, I'm going to shoot down 2 floors into their skull. So that's fun too, skull shooting. I loved that aspect of it. I loved that everyone was on equal ground with having shotguns. and that some operators that you might normally play as are useless in this because of the circumstances. Like, I can't think of it. Oh, like Thermite. You would never play as Thermite because everything's destructible. Everyone has shotguns, and there's not really a reason to like. There are so many other better operators to play. So I had a ton of fun playing this event. You played with us though, Holden. What was your experience with it?
I did. Pretty much the same. The biggest thing I remember is Dallas also being going on a murderous rampage and killing 5 people. No, it's all seriousness. It was the most amazing thing I've seen in the game. Was I guess what happened is Dallas had to go like help his kid with something or something like that, and he was just standing in place on the outskirts of the map while everyone else died. So meanwhile, the other team is a full 5 players on their team, and Dallas is the only one left, but he's not even playing. He's just standing still. So we're all watching his camera going like, Dallas, what are you doing? And then he comes back in and going, oh, did we start playing? And he just runs in that house and he kills all 5 people. It was unbelievable
awesome.
To watch. It was insane.
Go to his Twitter.
It was one of the
Check
coolest
out the video
things.
on his Twitter. It's awesome.
On his DFN Smitty on Twitter. You can watch that video. It was incredible. I agree. The verticality of the level you're talking about, I think, makes this mode stand out amongst the other modes in the game. I would like to see this not be an event. I would like to see this be a part of
it'd be cool to keep this around.
Siege, just to begin with. Yeah. Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's largely still Siege. Having the shotguns makes it a little chaotic, and sometimes you'll just die and not really know what had just happened. Mostly because sometimes you will be cracking a safe that fell through the floor, and someone shoots you from above, and you don't even see them coming. But that's just kind of online shooters to begin with anyway. But the shotgun definitely adds a level of mayhem to it as well.
It was cool to see sometimes when like you're standing still, like looking at a doorway or something like that, and somebody shoots the floor out from under you from below, and then you fall and die. Like that's a cool mechanic that can happen in this game. I also really liked something else that I totally forgot. So there's that.
It was very memorable.
So memorable. But I liked a lot.
There's another event that you did this week, though.
Destiny 2.
What was that event?
The Guardian Games. It's actually been going on for 3 weeks. But Matt finally reignited that lust for Destiny content. He's like, hey, am I about to play Destiny? And I was like, fuck. Am I about to play Destiny with you? And we did, and we've been getting medals. This event is basically nothing but bounties on bounties on bounties. And you go in and you get bounties that count towards medals, which are technically quests, but they're basically just bounties again. And they're focused around different modes. So to get 3 medals on this week, or this day, it might require you to do strikes, or it might require you to do crucible. So we did everything, including a new mode called Forge that's been in the game forever, and we just found out what it was yesterday. We played a lot of that. Destiny, again, so fucking good. I'm so happy that we're playing it again. We got Dallas in on it after days of bitching, saying, I don't want to play Destiny. Destiny sucks. Everyone play Red Dead. Look at my pictures of horse balls in Red Dead. And then he jumped online with us, and in 10 minutes, he was like, Destiny's so fucking good. I was like, yeah.
Was he? Because today in the chat, he seemed a little...
Oh, no, he played with us last night.
Not... Oh, okay. He seemed to be hating on Destiny
and then he said, I could probably do some of this before the event wraps up on Tuesday. Because for most of you, by the time you're listening to this on Tuesday, the event will be over. But he's looking at trying to get some of them medals going. Thanks, Dallas, for the beard comment. Ooh. I am growing out my beard, and it's pretty much on point. In fact, I can lick it. I can lick my beard from my mouth. You're welcome. Oh, I forgot to put beard butter in it, though, and it tastes nasty.
Gotta watch the video on YouTube, guys, to watch that awesome beard licking.
Yeah, Destiny 2 Guardian Games event, great. It's over, but we still have 30 days left in the season, which means we can still go through, do all the Seraph Tower shit, which is like this new game mode that's really hard, but it's just like running this one event on Earth or whatever other planet that you're on, throwing balls into holes, which is most Destiny puzzle gameplay. It's just throwing balls into holes. And it was so fun, though. Love it. And then we played Mario Kart. Fun. We have a new game night, Holden. We have Thursday night game nights, which is like everything game night. We can play whatever the fuck we want. And then we have Friday game nights, where we're forced to play something else. And it's Nintendo-themed, and I like it. We played Mario Kart. Found out that, I don't know what it was about that night, that I was doing very poorly. Usually Mario Kart, I'm like first, second, third. If I'm playing with you, I'm second. If I'm not playing with you, I'm usually first. And something about that night, I was finishing in 10th. I was finishing in like 7th and shit like that. I don't know what was going on. I think maybe I might have herpes.
I also set the difficulty because I was the host for the room. I set the difficulty for the CPUs to hard.
Oh, fuck.
Which might have been part of
You
it.
asshole. That makes sense.
I just find normals too easy, so I put it on hard.
Yeah, you're right. You true, cuh. You true.
I love that game. That's so good.
What did you play?
I just want to play more of it, and then I don't. Well, I played Mario Kart, which was a lot of fun. We had John Hansen from Pixel Street Podcast there as well.
Yeah,
as
shout out to
Matt.
John. I think that was the first time that he's played on a game night with us? Question mark?
He was there for an Animal Crossing game night, but embarrassingly, I didn't know it was him immediately, and then I was telling Taz, like, well, I guess no one showed up, and we just left, and I felt awful. I felt like such an asshole after that. Yeah. So I was glad to see John and actually incorporate and have John be a part of a Nintendo night. That was nice. He's, shout out to John, really fucking good at Mario Kart. He's awesome at Mario Kart. So that was a really fun night. With Nintendo Night, just as like a kind of stating what it is in the podcast. I don't think we've really done that officially. It's sort of last week where I teased it. Every month we're going to pick one Nintendo game to focus on for that month.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, so Mario Kart will be the game for May, and then June will have a new game, and then so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's going to be a good time. Check us out every Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern for our Patreon supporters.
Yep.
We'll be on Discord. We can talk. We can play games, shoot the shit.
Hashtag patrons only. If you want to come play with us, patreon.com/respawnamefire. $1. That's all it takes.
C. All it takes. I also, shockingly, I played more Animal Crossing New Horizons
fuck
this
you!
week. I don't really have anything new to say about Animal Crossing New Horizons, but before we started recording, I came across this Twitter thread that I think I just lost. Oh no. And it was really sweet. It was from one of the developers of Animal Crossing talking about their positive experience seeing people discussing the game, sharing memes about the game, and I lost the tweet. I don't have it, so I can't read it.
Oh my
But it
god,
was
you
really
built
sweet.
this up too, leading into the podcast. You're like, I want to read you the whole thread, and then I was like, right now? Are you gonna read it right now? And then you didn't. I was like, oh, you mean on the podcast? So now I've been thinking about it for however many minutes we've been streaming. 23.
Wait a second. I think I might know where it went. I found it. Here it is. So this is Rob Harrett, who is worked on Animal Crossing. Sounds like for writing. He said, during the localization of Animal Crossing New Horizons, we joked repeatedly that we were building the next 5 to 10 years worth of memes. We knew the game would be big, but we obviously couldn't have imagined the real-world circumstances of its release. We never had a time like this where safety and responsibility to one another keep us physically distant, and digital tools have taken the place of face-to-face contact. But Zoom and Twitter and other platforms are, by design, rather plain. Animal Crossing is different. The Animal Crossing aesthetic is cute. I've seen people observing that even the tarantulas are cute. Even the chairs are cute. But it's more than cuteness. It's comfort. It's positivity. It's a retreat. If you've played the game, you're tired of the sea bass joke. I get it. I'm tired of the sea bass joke, and I wrote it. But here's a secret about the sea bass joke. It was originally, quote, I caught a sea bass. Well, maybe a C- bass. And when we were workshopping the fish jokes, and when we were working on the fish jokes, someone pointed out that as a joke, people were going to see many, many times, generally along with disappointment they didn't catch something better. Maybe it'd be better to spin it positive. Make it a C+ instead. From a comedy mechanics perspective, it's the same joke relying on the homophones of the sea ocean, and see the letter to change how you perceive the description of the animal. And let's be honest, it would work better as a verbal joke than it does in print. But that fish has sailed. Anyway, my point is we're doing our very best down to the details you might not have considered to make the most positive, comforting, funny game we could, and I know the dev team was doing the same. So it's been humbling to see this thing we worked on become so important to people, in part because of the weird accident of history that it was released during this scary-ass time. It wasn't really I wasn't really surprised when people started having their birthday parties in the game. Hell, mine's next week and I'll be doing it. After all, the game has specific mechanics to acknowledge your birthday, so it's a bit of a no-brainer. no-brainer. But today I saw a screenshot from someone who, unable to visit their real mother's grave for Mother's Day, created a place in the game to visit, and that feels important. Not only is Animal Crossing New Horizons a safe, pleasant, perpetually smiling space, it's a world of its own that the player can shape to their whim. Obviously, the real world feels out of control right now, so that, I think, is the secret sauce to this game. When Nintendo first showed off the terraforming options in the game, I saw a lot of jokes about, quote, the last game made you a mayor, this one makes you a god. But in the time of COVID-19, we don't need to be gods. We just need agency. We need a comfortable bed where we can arrange the blankets just how we like them. That feels like the single most important part of the game's popularity to me. Anyway, it's an honor to have been involved in a small way in this thing. Here's hoping we don't need the eventual next game in the franchise quite so much. I thought that was
sweet. Based on what you just read,
nice.
The New York Times would like to issue a correction. About 14 minutes ago, I said two words, here and here. And then I called them homonyms. They are, in fact, homophones, as your Animal Crossing thing just pointed out. Homophones are two words that sound the same, but are spelled differently. Homonyms are two words that are spelled the same, but mean different things. That's it.
Thank you, New York Times.
You're welcome.
Your reporting is truly the record of history. Yes. Thank you.
No, that's really cute. I agree with everything they said. I just wish I felt I wish I enjoyed it. But no, it's a wonderful game. Came out at just the perfect time, and I'm glad people are finding so much joy in it.
Yeah, I did like that little note about the C bass joke and how it used to be C minus, but they wanted a positive spin on it, so they made it a C plus instead. That's a funny little thing. That. The other thing I played this week was Super Mario Maker 2, so playing a lot more of that. I am a good chunk into my first world at this point and making my first world. That should be finished by the end of
What's
this
the theme
week,
for your
maybe?
world?
I don't know. I'm just going for this kind of a standard open first world. Not open world. A first world in a Mario game. So I'm trying not to make it too difficult, but I don't know, I've been going back and playing New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe to kind of say, like, hey, what does Acorn Plains, the first area in that game, look like in terms of difficulty? And I'm like, to me, it's too easy to be fun as like a standalone world. I usually like to get past the first world so I can get to the other world. So I'm trying to like make it a little bit more challenging, but not so much so that it's bothersome.
Do you see yourself making a full 8 world super world, or do you think like this is your one world that you want to perfect and make it done?
I have a plan for 5 worlds.
Whoa, almost a full Yoshi's Island Super Mario World 2 game.
Not quite, because each world can only be 5 levels, and I want to have like my structure I'm going for each world is going to be that and I haven't done the night world yet, but night level yet, but I want every world to have one like super challenging level that you can beat after you've beaten the first level of that world. And if you can beat the super, super challenging level, you can go right to the castle. So I'm kind of like using that as a structure.
Can you explain that again? Wait, what?
So basically, you can set up the pipes in your world layout. Not the level, but the world layout. And so what you can do is have branching paths. And one of the branching paths will take you to a very difficult level that if you beat it, will let you go to a pipe, and that pipe brings you right to the castle at the end of the world. And you can skip all the other levels to get there. But it's a lot more challenging.
Gotcha.
So it's a balancing act. I forgot how I was connecting that in. But yeah, so kind of like the structure in mind of like what each world's like going to look like. I know what each world's theme is going to be. It's fun. It's fun. I also think the most part of I just did recently is I made a boss battle that I actually think is kind of clever. I really didn't want to have like a boss battle that was just you jump on that enemy's head and then that's it, because that's how most bosses are in Mario. What I tried to do was take the mechanic that I focused on in that level and apply it to the boss battle. And so like for the first boss battle, I think it turned out pretty well, but I have to like tweak some things still. But it's a ton of fun. Now that I kind of feel comfortable with the different tools that are there in the game, I find it more entertaining to actually jump in and try things, experiment, because it's really overwhelming at first when you have all these different options. Where do I even begin? And I think that if anyone wants to play the game, my recommendation is watch the Game Maker's Toolkit video on YouTube about how a Mario level is structured in terms of like kind of getting a starting ground for what you want to do in your level, and then kind of go from there.
And none of these are public yet for our audience to play, right?
The only one that's public right now is the very first level.
Can we share the code in our notes?
Sure.
We don't have to if you don't want to.
I'm happy with the level. I don't know. I kind of want to release the world at
Okay.
all at one time for public consumption. Because I've got to hype it up. It's a big deal, me releasing a Mario world. That's all I played this week. Chad, do you have anything else to add?
No.
All right. Moving on to the fetch quests this week. Got some good fetch quests this week. First off, Diablo 2 Remastered reportedly being developed by Vicarious Visions. Thank you, Zarmena Khan at PlayStation
Give me
Lifestyle.
a hell yeah in the chat if you're excited for
handling...
D2. There's a delay, so I'll read it later.
No, I know you're pumped. This is one of your favorite games. The studio handling what's going to be dubbed, apparently, Diablo 2 Resurrected also worked on the Crash Bandicoot remasters, many Guitar Hero titles, PC port of Destiny 2, and everyone's favorite Kung Fu Panda on Nintendo DS. I actually looked up the full list of everything they made. Do you remember Guitar Hero on Tour?
Yes, I do.
That
was the DS one with the
version.
extra little thing that you put on the thing with the goddams.
Yeah,
I remember Guitar Hero.
That was actually
I never played it
fun.
because I didn't have a DS at the time, but that was a fart. Hi, question. This is awesome. It's been rumored a lot in the past. There have been people talking about the difficulties of remastering or remaking Diablo 2 because it's a 4:3 screen and then opening it widescreen literally breaks some of the mechanics. Like enemies that aren't supposed to see you yet because they're far enough off screen now suddenly can see you or are available for you to kill. But holy goddamn, this is one of the games that I've probably sunk the most hours to in my entire life. And I can't wait. It's so good. Like, Diablo 3 is really good, but Diablo 2 is so good. The only thing about this that makes me curious is that many of the characters, playable characters in Diablo 2, like the Druid and the Sorceress, are coming back for Diablo 4. So, do they want to tire people out on these characters? Like, I played for the Druid for 200 hours in Diablo 2, Resurrected. Now I'm going to play him again in Diablo 4. Although that werebear is a beast, literally. But the werewolf, oh god, with feral rage and fury. Oh, a little spinning orb around you, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger until you bust a nut. Oh, it's so good.
Well, this is rumored to be. If the rumors are true, and of course COVID could always change things, it's supposed to be coming out late 2020, so later on this year, basically, end of this year. We don't really have a date or any sort of time frame for Diablo 4 yet. So it could be that comes out in 2022, 2023, and it's been a few years between, maybe, and they're kind of releasing this to hold off. But on that note of challenging to remaster, apparently there's a lot of assets they just don't have anymore, so they'd have to recreate a lot of the games. So it'd be more than just an up-res. It literally would be almost a remake in a lot of. It'd be forced into being a remake.
You would have to, because quite honestly, looking in that game, if you look up screenshots and stuff like that, the character models of these characters on the screen look pixelated and trashy as hell by today's standards. There's no way you could just go grab those and just make them HD textures. You would have to recreate all the character models, all the enemies, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yuck. Next thing on the fetch quest. This actually just happened minutes before we started recording. Pete Hines had some interesting comments about Elder Scrolls 6 on Twitter. So this guy named Quentin Myers, who I looked at his account, I think he's just a fan of Elder Scrolls. He said, "All right, check it out at DC Deacon," who's Pete Hines at Bethesda. He said, "Let's cut the shit. When can we expect some info on hashtag Elder Scrolls 6? We need this Bethesda Elder Scrolls Xbox Series X."
I appreciate you clapping along with the claps.
You got to. And then even though the guy said, "Let's cut the shit," which if I were a VP of marketing, I don't know if I'd respond to that. But Pete Hines did, and he worded it very well. He said, "It's after Starfield, which you pretty much know nothing about. So if you're coming at me for details now and not years from now, I'm failing to properly manage your expectations." Which is a good way of putting it. So basically, it's not happening for a while. And he literally says, so if you're coming at me for details now and not years from now. So they're just saying details will be coming years from now. Not even the game will be coming out years from now. So that's surprising. That's surprising. Matt, got good news for you. Fast and Furious Crossroad release date announcement to be made in the coming weeks. Thank you to Logan Moore at DualShockers. Logan Moore actually reached out to Bandai Namco regarding any updates to Crossroads release date, and Bandai Namco responded, and they said an announcement regarding the Fast and Furious Crossroads release date will be made in the upcoming weeks. I'd imagine it's probably going to be part of Summer Game Fest with Jeff Keighley, since he unveiled it for Game Awards. It's probably going to be part of that, is my guess. So Look forward to that, Matt. Fortnite has over 350 million players.
Whoa!
Last player update we got was 200 million players in November 2018. So in like a year and a half, they've increased by 150 million.
That's almost double.
Incredible.
Do we have what that means? Is that people who have ever played the game, like active monthly users? Is that accounts created?
I was wondering the same thing. Yeah. I was wondering the same thing. I'm assuming because that number is so high, it can't be monthly active. That would be insane if it was monthly active. It's probably just like, I'm probably in that 350 million, even though I've only played it twice. They did say...
If I've downloaded the game, but I've never opened it, do I count towards that?
Well, I think they do clarify, actually, because there's something in there that the average players, time the players have played is 9 hours. Epic also revealed that its users have spent a total of 3.2 billion hours in game, meaning that users have played the game for an average of 9 hours each.
That's, and no matter what, that's still insane. That
it's still insane. Yeah.
God, imagine how much money they've made from that.
Yeah, here it is. Fortnite now has over 350 million registered players. Is what the wording from the tweet that Fortnite put out. So yeah, it's not monthly active. It's definitely just the cumulative number across its lifetime, which is still really fucking impressive. Speaking of fucking impressive, not to that degree impressive, but impressive in its own right, report Half-Life Alyx brought 1 million new VR users to Steam. That story also comes from Alex Calvin at PC Games Insider. That's a great get for VR, then, because VR needs the help. Chad, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. Academy Award-winning actress Cate Blanchett in talks to star in Borderlands movie as Lilith.
Okay, so first of all,
Cate
Blanchett is a badass. Lady Galadriel from the Lord of the Rings series is Cate Blanchett. And Lilith is a badass. So, boom, I'm totally into it. Also, this movie was apparently... who was gonna? It was the person who did the Hostel movies is apparently gonna do Borderlands, which is a little off-putting for me. But I don't know. I would have to see her in the role, but I'm not against it at all, and I think she could do really well as Lilith. But the movie as a whole, I'd have to see like what kind of direction is this going.
Yeah, it's being directed by Eli Roth, which I don't think he's a terrible. Yeah, he's not a terrible director, but I wouldn't consider him like upper echelon great. But I do think that his style would work well with Borderlands. Do you know who's writing it, though? This is interesting.
Yes, I do. It's Carol Burnett. No, I have no clue.
No, it's actually Carol Baskins. Carol Baskins.
Hey, all you cats and kittens out there, it's me, Carol Baskins. That goddamn Carol Baskins.
I mean, to be fair, though, wouldn't Joe Exotic make a really good character in Borderlands?
Oh, God. He would make an excellent boss or enemy or villain. That's what I'm looking for. Movies call them villains.
Yeah. So Craig Mazin, who made Chernobyl, who wrote Chernobyl, and is working on The Last of Us Part 2, or not Part 2, The Last of Us HBO series, he's writing the Borderlands movie.
Oh, you have my arousal.
Could be a mixed bag there. He's most known for comedies, and his comedies aren't the greatest. I'll just say that. I think his best received comedy was Identity Thief, the Jason Bateman, Melissa McCarthy.
Okay, but that movie was also kind of funny. So
that's his high bar. That's his high bar for comedy. He also made The Hangover Part 2 and 3, which were not nearly as good as Part 1.
Yeah.
So to say, his drama is where he's at, I think. Anyway. Destiny 2 has been confirmed for Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. But there's no word on smart delivery support, what that will look like in terms of like moving your character over, all that stuff. We just know that you'll be able to play Destiny 2 on the next-gen consoles.
I have to imagine because of crossplay and all of that that's happened with Destiny this year, obviously vanilla Destiny is free everywhere. So you'll be able to get that no problem on these new consoles. And then your character already carries across Stadia, Xbox, PlayStation. So I imagine that's totally going to be fine. The only thing that will be a TBA is your DLC that you've purchased. Like if I have Shadowkeep on PS4, is that going to carry over to PS5? If I have it on Xbox, is that going to carry over to Xbox Series X? Which I can't imagine they wouldn't.
I agree. I found it really strange they didn't even just say smart delivery, because I feel like if you're announcing a game, especially a game that in this case has been out for a long time, I feel like it would just make sense to be like, yeah, it's smart delivery, but we can't talk about other consoles yet that haven't been like officially revealed. Like that's what other companies been saying. So I find it strange they didn't at least just say one half.
I wonder if because the game is free to play, that smart delivery like technically doesn't apply to it, because all that would have to carry over is DLC and purchase content. So you like, I don't know if like technically under the definition of smart delivery, you can't call it that.
Yeah. The other thing too is that technically, this is just saying that they're going to be enhanced for Series X and PlayStation 5, but the Xbox One version will play on a Series X regardless. So your DLC will carry over that way
Regardlessly, yeah.
So it would have to include it. So they're not saying anything right now, but I think you're right. I think it's probably going to be a pretty smooth transition. But because of that Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 support, don't expect Destiny 3 until fall 2023 at the earliest, if it ever comes at all, according to Chandler Wood at PlayStation Lifestyle. So Destiny 2 support will last for another 3 years, which suggests that Destiny 3 won't arrive until fall 2023 at the earliest. Chad, you're a big Destiny fan. How's that?
So Matt and I were actually talking about this the other night while playing Destiny 2, and we pretty much came to the conclusion that if they just show us like a short video of someone clicking on a menu item or clicking on a destination, and they're there before 90 seconds has passed, that's great. That's all we need. We don't need a Destiny 3. I just need a Destiny 2 that loads in any reasonable amount of time. So, yeah, I don't need a Destiny 3. Just keep supporting it with cool content that they're already doing. But when that Destiny 3 does come, you best believe my eyes are going to cream all over the screen. Just going to be like, ah! Like a freaking concussive blast from Cyclops. But eye cream.
So let me ask you this, too. Destiny 1 came out as a cross-gen title. It was on Xbox 360, PS3, Xbox One, and PS4. And the Destiny 2 was next-gen exclusive. Well, next-gen exclusive at the time. It was next-gen. Now it's current-gen. Do you feel like Destiny 2 was improved a lot by being on PS4 and Xbox One exclusively and have to worry about those older consoles? Because like that could benefit Destiny 3, since it's most likely going to be a next-gen only title if it's coming out that late.
No, I mean, quite honestly, when Destiny 2 came out, part of the discussion and hate around it was that it was even a step backwards from the previous Destiny. Like, all the things that they had built up Destiny 1 to be by the time its life cycle ended, Destiny 2 is, like, missing so much of that stuff. So it was a step backwards. So I don't believe that, like, a next-gen specific one... most of what changed from 1 to 2 was a slightly more focused... more focus on the narrative of the game through the opening missions, and then a little bit of a rework of how some of the systems work. But after all of that, like, most of the gameplay is still very, very similar to what you found from Destiny 1, from what I can remember. It's been a long time since I played Destiny 1. So yeah, I don't think a next-gen specific one is going to be very, very different at all or benefit from being next-gen only. Literally the only thing I can think of that they can improve on right now that I would want is load times, which I don't know if they can do on console because of connecting to the internet and speeds and connecting to those servers, whereas the reason we see that happening so quickly on Stadia is because the servers are the console, so you don't have to worry about transmitting that information back and forth. So I don't know. Yeah. All of this is to say, I don't know, but I want it.
One thing I do want to know about you, Chad, I want to know what you think about The Last of Us Part 2 official story trailer.
Holden. I watched this trailer one time, and I said, thank you for the themed telling me the themes of what this game will be tackling, and thank you for not telling me anything else about this game. I don't want to know like the any specifics about the story, and I felt like it had a lot of out of context quotes that sounded like they were going to get you like feeling a certain way, but I don't really know about the story and where we're going, and I'm totally okay with that. And I'm not going to watch another single thing about this game. That got me pumped.
It's the last trailer.
That's right, the last trailer. The game has gone gold,
that's it.
So it's done.
Mm-hmm.
I can't fucking wait.
June 19th.
June 19th. 2319.
All right, moving on to the Microsoft Quest log. Even with the disparity in messaging coming from Sony and Microsoft's next generation, there is one thing we don't know about either console: price. From Zarmenicon at PlayStation Lifestyle, Microsoft can undercut PS5 price according to Analyst. So after Microsoft's first Xbox 2020 event, Jeff Keighley got Michael Pachter, who's the analyst for Wedbush, and Peter Moore, who's it's a long list here of titles. He's the former president of Sega of America, the former VP of Microsoft's Interactive Entertainment Division for Xbox and Xbox 360, and he's the former head of EA Sports. So he knows some shit. And Jeff Keighley got those two people, Michael Pachter and Peter Moore, to talk about Xbox Next Generation plans after seeing this event. Part of the discussion focused on the Series X pricing. Michael Pachter seems certain Microsoft wants Sony to announce price first, allowing Series X to severely undercut PS5's price, potentially by $100, which could theoretically mean Series X will cost $400. And he quoted $400. Now, Peter Moore, who has a lot of experience as a CEO for video game companies, including making hardware, just followed suit with that line of thinking, pointing out that whichever console sells 10 million units first usually wins the generation. Taking a hit on price for the first 12 to 18 months would only be a short-term loss compared to the fortunes that come with being the best-selling console. Chad, we've discussed rumors of PS5's kind of 500 to 550 price point. Does this Xbox Series X price seem even possible given its specs? Would Microsoft take a huge loss on their box?
I have two thoughts about this. The first thought is, and I always come back to this quote, the quote from Phil Spencer saying, with the PS4, Xbox One generation, the PlayStation beat us on power and price, and we won't let either of those two things happen again this time. So obviously, all the specs are out for both consoles. Xbox is more powerful in a lot of different areas than the PlayStation 5 will be. But then the price is the next part of it. And the further along in the year we get, and the further along in the press cycle, the less I'm convinced that there will be a second Xbox coming out this fall. There's always the rumor of Lockhart and Anaconda. One powerful version, one kind of cheaper version. And the further we get along, the more information we find out, like the optimized for Series X badge that goes on things. Like that, releasing that badge at the same time as another console that doesn't get that badge on it, it could be kind of confusing to the consumers.
Yeah.
And if that's not a possibility, again, I'm not sold on that not being a possibility, but I'm less positive on it than I was before.
It's so hard to know. I've been going back and forth myself on that. Anyway.
So if that's not a possibility, or if that's not going to happen, then by Phil Spencer's own quote, like, this has got to be the case. $400 is, if the console costs $500 or close to it, like it's definitely been shown from all the parts and things like that to cost, and they take $100 loss, I feel like they can't go any cheaper on that without being destroyed. $400, PS5, I really think it's going to cost more. We've talked about this, the hard drive itself just going to be driving up that cost a lot. But the second thing about this is something that I also forgot. So you talk a second, I'll remember it.
So one of the things that Pachter pointed out in the video, it's about a half hour long, but it's a really interesting listen. They don't really talk about the announcements in the event. They just talk about like the consoles generally. And Michael Pachter makes this really good point that Microsoft has this insane market value where I don't know where it's at currently right now, but they passed $1 trillion, like, within the past year. Like, they're huge. It doesn't mean they have $1 trillion on hand, but it means they got a lot of money backing them. Sony as a whole company, not just PlayStation, Sony as a whole, their market cap is like 70 to 80 billion. So like Microsoft is just massive in comparison. They can take hundreds of dollar hit on their box to get to that 10 million that Peter Moore had mentioned. Now that 10 million isn't like a hard fast rule. There are definitely situations where like Xbox 360 got to 10 million first, but I mean, depending on how you analyze that generation, it's either a mixed bag or Sony came out on top of the end. So, like, it's not a definitive, like, you have to 10 million first. But I think there's a lot of truth to that statement. And I think that's more important to Microsoft, because if they can get that install base and they take a loss by getting that install base, they will make it up on their services. They'll make it up on Game Pass. They'll make it up on Xbox Live. They'll make it up on, like, all these other service avenues that Sony, yeah, they have PlayStation Now, but I don't think they're hitting the ground running in the same way that Microsoft was able to. And hitting the ground running is a poor term here. Like, I don't know if hitting the ground running delayed by 7 years is really a thing, but yeah, I think that Microsoft has the flexibility that Sony doesn't. Microsoft doesn't rely on Xbox to make money for the rest of the company, as opposed to Sony, who really does rely on PlayStation to bring in a lot of money into Sony as a company itself.
Right. There have been so many financial reports where, like, PlayStation was the only wing of Sony that made money this quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Their smartphones don't do super well in comparison to other smartphones, and they just haven't really gotten as big as PlayStation's gotten. Like, that's their big marquee product. They can't take a risk like that. And I think it's going to look really bad for Sony if this is true, where they come out at $500 and Microsoft undercuts them by $100 at $400. And even though they have that really fancy SSD that's really nice and obviously will have huge improvements for game design and all sorts of other advancements we just really can't think of yet or imagine yet, Microsoft's going to have really good looking games, and they're going to be able to show off much more easily how their console is more powerful in an advertisement than how, and we'll talk about this later on, we talk about the Xbox event, they'll have an easier time showing off the processing power of the Series X than Sony will have showing off the SSD. Yeah. And it's really, yeah, that's what I have to say.
I remember what my second thing was. You brought up services, and one of the things I wanted to kind of relate this to is Game Pass, and how obviously the value of Game Pass is incredible, and no one paying the $15 a month for Game Pass Ultimate or $9.99 for regular Game Pass, or so often $1 a month for Game Pass if you get it on deals like I do all the time. Obviously, that's not the same as paying $60 for every single one of the games that's featured on there. But somehow, they aren't losing money on Game Pass. Like, they're making money, and they've come out and said, yeah, this is actually, like, this is not something that we plan to offer at a lower price for now and then in the future turn it into a profit machine. Like, it's making money. So the $400, like taking a $100 hit on each of these consoles, they have some kind of plan, some way that they're the magic behind licensing, the magic behind their cut of every single game that's sold, of driving all of these new customers to these other games, whether it's via Game Pass or buying them a la carte. Like, they're going to make that money back for sure. And if that's the difference between them making money from 30 million customers versus 110 million customers, like, yeah, it's worth making that investment, taking that loss up front in order to make that back.
Absolutely. I don't think on top of that too, Xbox All Access. Like, if they're at $400, they're already undercutting the PS5 on price, but then you also include Xbox All Access as another easy barrier
That's
to
their subscription
get in.
Plan, like, paying like $30 a month or whatever for it.
Like, holy shit. That's like, this should, the Xbox All Access alone should worry Sony, but $400 on top of everything else, like, it's going to be really interesting to see this play out if that is the case. And I think $400 is a little low. I don't think they have to go quite that low. I think they could undercut by like $50 to $450. That would work, or even matching the price, but saying, hey, it comes with a year of Game Pass. Like, doing something like that, like, that would be enough as well. But I think it was Phil Spencer saying that Satya Nadella gave Phil Spencer the blank check of just like, whatever you need us to do, like, we'll do it. We're fully behind you. So, yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see it play out. Another part I actually forgot to put in the note here that was in the full video, not in the article that Zermena Khan wrote, is that Michael Pachter was like, Microsoft will keep waiting. They'll just keep waiting until Sony announces their price. He's like, they could wait until fall if they wanted to. And I'm like, I don't know if I'd go that far. I don't know if I'd go as far as say, like, in October we'll finally hear the price of these consoles. Maybe I'll eat my words there. Who knows? But he seems very convinced, and I think he's right, that Microsoft will wait as long as they need to let Sony announce the price
Which
first.
is kind of troubling, because we've seen from a lot of reports that that's what Sony is going back and forth on, and they're really struggling with, is figuring out the price of this thing and how it compares to Microsoft.
And one of the things that we've seen just from the rumors is that they're wondering if they want to take a loss on the console or make a profit. And from the rumors we know about, the 500 to 550 would be profitable for them. But if they decide to take a hit and go for 400 instead, that's probably the move to make right now. I think it's worth them taking that hit and then bolstering their own services to help make money that way. Because if they lose a large install base to Microsoft, that's really problematic for them. And it would be hard to recover considering that's Sony's bread and butter right now.
But would it matter if the Xbox doesn't have any good games on it? Dun, dun, dun! Teaser for later this episode.
Well, moving on, though, to Sony's quest log. It seems like every week there's a new rumor of when Sony will announce new PS5 information, and this week is no different. Report from Beyond Reeves of PlayStation Lifestyle. A PlayStation 5 event could happen in early to mid-June. I feel like we've heard so many rumors about this is when the next PS5 event's going to be. But this one comes from Jason Schreier, who guested on Press Start podcast and was asked about Sony's next PS5 announcement. Because of COVID, Jason disclaimed that anything regarding unannounced events should be taken with a heavy grain of salt. But he does think that we might hear more details before early to mid-June. Now, I don't know if he was talking about maybe the official PlayStation magazine saying that they're going to talk about more games. I don't know if that counts for him as something new they're showing off. But I don't know. What do you think? Do you think that's a good timing?
There was also a leaker who's gotten some things correct, but also a lot of things wrong in the past. I don't remember their name, but there was a leaker who said, by the way, PS5 reveal event is on June 4th, which would happen to line up with what Jason Schreier said.
Actually, that was mentioned in this article. What was that person's name?
Nice.
Yeah.
So it seems like there are things pointing to this, but again, heavy grain of salt. They're unannounced events that might have been affected by COVID, and whether it's the event itself or the strategy of when they release it could change. But
Venture Beats Jeff Grubb, he's the one who said that on June 4th, the PS5 event will occur.
Perfect. Yeah, I think the world is ready. I think the world is ready to hear what's next. They're ready to see the boxes. They're
more than ready.
And with Xbox now not just showing the box itself, but also showing third-party games, what they look like, and confirming that first-party games will be shown off in July's Xbox 2020, I think. It's time for PlayStation 2.
There'll be a June event for Microsoft as well. They're going to do one every month.
But the first-party dedicated one is July, I think.
Oh, yeah, the first-party dedicated one's July, yeah. I'll hold off my thought on this until we talk about the Microsoft event, because they're very much related to each other.
Right, they can't get married. That's how close they're related.
They can't. So we'll move on for now, but we'll return to that topic later on in the episode. Nintendo quest log. Nintendo held their very first financial call since COVID, and the news is coming out has been very positive. The news that is coming out has been very positive. Switch sales top 55 million. Animal Crossing New Horizons is over 11 million. This is coming from Andrew Reiner at Game Informer. So Switch sales are up 30% since last year. The lifetime sales are now over 55 million. Basically, a lot of the shortages and all that kind of stuff didn't actually hurt their business that much, apparently. They still were extremely ahead from the last year. That's good to hear. Software has also done very well. The following numbers only count for March 31st and before, unless I say otherwise. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 24.77 million copies. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, 18.84 million copies. Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 17.41, which is tied with 17.41 million, not 0.41 copies sold.
Somebody broke a box in half and gave it to you.
No, someone's partially downloaded the file and it didn't finish before the end of March 31st. That's where it comes from, yeah. Super Mario Odyssey tied that with 17.41 million as well. Pokemon Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu collectively did 11.97 million, which brings us to Animal Crossing New Horizons with 11.77 in March. But if you include all the sales in April for Animal Crossing, New Horizons actually sold 13.41 million copies, which is awesome. Very good for them.
Daniel.
One thing that does do is it debunks a claim we had made in the podcast a little while ago. Actually, I think that I specifically made in the podcast that Animal Crossing had sold. I think it came from Superdata. Animal Crossing had sold more copies than every other Animal Crossing game combined. That's just blatantly not true. Because of the 13.41 million number. New Leaf alone sold 12.55 million copies, and Wild World sold 11.7 million copies, and those are only two of the games in the franchise. So maybe for launches it outsold everything else combined, but not in lifetime sales. Moving on, before March 31st, Splatoon sold 10.13 million units, Super Mario Party 10.10 million units, and finally New Super Mario Bros. Deluxe with 6.6 million units. That's very impressive. Good for them.
Suspiciously absent from the list. Where's Pokemon Sword and Shield?
Yeah. That's a very good question. I don't know where it is, but that sold better than Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, it was like 17.6 million.
I'm going to look into
like
that real quick for you.
Yeah, you look in for that. Beyond all that, Nintendo earned almost $2 billion in digital sales this year, a 72% yearly increase. So it's just really good across the board. That was awesome. But not everything looks super great. Nintendo believes COVID-19 will have a negative impact on their business for the next year. So for next year's forecast, Nintendo estimates that revenues will be down 8.3% and profits down 22.7%. They also believe Switch hardware will be down 9.6% and software will be down 17%. Nintendo runs in contrast to many other game companies such as Blizzard and Zynga, which predict increases this year, but also they don't sell hardware. So that's important to factor in. Unlike Microsoft's messaging on COVID's impact on hardware, Nintendo believes that prolonged economic shutdowns will impact supply chains and Switch production. That's kind of a what if, though. Like if this shutdown goes on long enough, not necessarily that it's happening right now. Nintendo also pointed out that the closure of many retail stores and people's limited time outside of the house will prevent sales that would have happened otherwise. I also wonder, that's all the facts for the story, I also wonder how much of that is just them wondering how much next-gen consoles will eat into Switch.
Yeah, see if they're accounting for that, and people are going to be spending money on $400 or $500 consoles, so they're not going to want to spend money on a new Switch instead, and software on it.
Exactly.
For the record,
Pokemon,
according to Nintendo's own website, has sold 17.37 million since March 31st, which puts it just under Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild.
But comfortably over Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. Imagine if Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee sold more than Sword and Shield, how that would just change Pokemon games forever. Oh, that'd be awful. That would be awful. Yeah, I'm really happy to hear this. All this news just collectively, because I do feel like the shortages of the console this year made me a little uncomfortable that maybe they weren't going to be doing as well as they could have, but not at all. They did well. Nintendo just has a knack for doing that sometimes, so good for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. I started to see like people saying the shortages are enough that like when one pops up, whether it's when they want or not, people are buying it anyway. Like, I don't want to Switch Lite, but that's the only one I can find right now, so I'm going to buy it. So people are wanting this console, and COVID has not really affected that. It's just a supply shortage issue. So if they can get that figured out as China turns back on, like they're going to be doing fine, Holden. They're going to be doing fine.
Yes. I also, another thing to consider too is, we haven't heard what they're doing last half of 2020. We kind of speculated last week that maybe their internal development's not going as smoothly as they would have liked with the transition to at-home development. Maybe that's why they delayed the Direct for June, because they didn't have confidence that those announcements would meet the deadlines in time for the release dates. So maybe that Mario All-Stars game, for example. Maybe they think that if they don't have as many titles coming out this year to couple with the Switch, then it won't entice people to buy as much. Like, there's a lot of things that it's hard to know because Nintendo's been kind of tight-lipped this whole year. Yeah,
that could certainly contribute to it. If they're saying that they're going to have a down year because of all of this, like, it could be because we don't know if software is going to come out this year. We're not going to have a Pokemon Sword Shield. We're not going to have a Smash Bros. Ultimate. We're not going to have a Super Mario Odyssey of the past 3 holidays. So
yeah.
If they don't have something like that, then, of course, they're going to expect that to take a dip.
Yeah. And on top of that, the article mentioned, and I mentioned as well, that Blizzard and Zynga didn't announce that they were expecting dips in their financials for the next year. And I wonder if Nintendo's just playing it smart and just saying, hey, we don't know what's going to happen with COVID, so it's more like it's safer for us to say we're going to have a loss and then come back next year and say, actually, we improved, than it would be if they said we were going to improve and there was a loss. Yep. Like playing that kind of stock market game, that is probably a safer bet. And like I said, you can't lie to your stockholders. But it wouldn't be a lie. It's just like hey, this is weird. We don't know. And there are some companies, I can't remember the company. One company even said we're not going to give out like quarterly estimates.
I think it was even Apple. I think
we're
Apple
not going to do it.
They said we're not going to give an estimate for whatever the quarter is coming up.
Because they just don't know.
It's impossible to tell.
They just don't know. But Nintendo's not the only one who had a financial event this week. So much fun.
Financial event?
Third-party
that sounds like there's going to be a party and caviar and champagne.
Third-party Questlog time. EA held their investor call this week too, and there was a lot of awesome little tidbits to speculate about, but also some straight-up garbage we need to discuss. Good news first. Actually, Shai, what do you want first? You want good news or bad news?
Hold on, you
first?
already said good news first, and let's not tease the people and not deliver, because I always deliver. Let's do good news.
So good news first. Despite us not being the biggest fans of Jedi Fallen Order, I think we can both say we would welcome a sequel. And EA says there are more Star Wars Jedi games to come. So during an investor call, Andrew Wilson, the CEO of EA, boasted about Jedi Fallen Order's 10 million sales milestone, calling it, quote, a rare achievement for a first title in an entirely new franchise. I would not necessarily call it an entirely
right.
new
It is an
franchise.
established IP that people know about, and they can't wait to freaking put their dicks in it.
Yeah. It's not Knack, which was an entirely new franchise.
We got no Knack 3 the Knackenings drawings or posters from last week. We told people we want to see Knack 3 the Knackening posters, and no one did it.
Outside of Knack 3 the Knackening, there's more reasons to be excited for EA's upcoming games, because EA HD title will be announced in the coming months, according to EA. Brianna Reeves at PlayStation
I'm sorry,
Lifestyle.
can I pause for just a second? Before we move on from the Star Wars Jedi game, do you see this being a Respawn game as well? Or do you see it like Respawn started the Jedi franchise and then they're just going to hand off spin-off games to other companies within EA?
I don't know. I think it depends on if it's the same character or not, and they're going to keep that specific thread going, or if it will follow another Jedi or another time frame, or like I don't think we really know what this as a entirely new franchise looks like yet. So we'll kind of have to see. But I mean, I still want to see that style of gameplay come up. I don't need to see. Is it Cal Kestis? Is that his name?
Cal is certainly his first name.
Cal is his first name. So yeah, I don't care if we see him or not, to be honest. I just don't.
Yeah, me neither.
The story of the game
mostly
didn't
because he was a
speak to me
redhead
enough
and
that I needed to continue.
Just kidding, my best friend's a ginger.
Yeah, it's one of those things of I'll just wait and see what they announce, and I'll play it, because I didn't like the first game, but I appreciated what it was trying to do.
And from what I understand, the patches that they've released since the game came out have fixed most of the issues I had with the game when we reviewed it. So
I've heard that too, and there's a new game plus now as well.
It came out for May the 4th.
So I'm kind of...
We said May the 4th. Disney owns this podcast now.
I'm tempted to try out New Game Plus and just see if the combat got better, because that was my biggest complaint with the game, is that I had played Sekiro earlier that year, and that combat system is very, very similar to Jedi Fallen Orders, and it's also infinitely better. So it was hard to get into Jedi Fallen Order because it didn't have the same weight of combat that Sekiro
You played
did.
Sekiro?
Yeah, I don't know if I ever mentioned that.
I don't think you have.
I played Sekiro. I might. I really want to play it again soon.
Oh my god!
Like really
That's
badly.
insane. I didn't even.
I know.
But surely you didn't just. You
I
just
am
beat
insane.
it. Did you beat it?
Oh, I beat it. I platinumed
Oh
it.
my god! Oh my god! Holden, how did I not know this about you?
Oh, shut up! You
I
knew
did.
this about me.
Let's continue.
So EA HD will be announced in the coming months, according to EA. Brianna Reeves of PlayStation Lifestyle informs us. Outside of a new Jedi Fallen Order title, Burnout Paradise remaster for Switch, Command & Conquer remaster for PC, and the usual sports titles, EA said a new, quote, EA HD title, end quote, will be released before March 31st, 2021. Investors pressed Andrew Wilson on HD remasters, asking if they'd be used to fill in gaps left by COVID's impact. Wilson seems to have largely dodged discussing any HD remasters and instead had faith that big AAA titles like Dragon Age and Battlefield were still on track alongside sports titles and Apex Legends updates. Chad, what do you think this EA HD title is, and why is it Mass Effect?
Yes, I do think it's Mass Effect, and I think it's EA finally doing a 180 on their decision to say, no, people don't want to play remasters of games. We're not interested. And now they're remastering old games because people fucking love that shit. What confuses me... Wilson seems to so asking if these games will fill in gaps left by COVID-19, and he says we've got really big faith in our AAA titles like Dragon Age and Battlefield. Is Dragon Age confirmed for this year? Because I feel like that game got rebooted last year.
It didn't get. I don't. Was that a Jason Schreier article that it got rebooted?
I don't remember.
They announced it officially.
They announce it.
Officially announced a new Dragon Age game. I think not last year's Game Awards, but the year before that, I think it was a Game Awards announcement. I'm pretty sure
it was basically a title tease, though.
Oh yeah, nothing at all. It was like it literally just said Dragon Age. Didn't even say it was the fourth entry or whatever number. I think it would be the fourth one. Yeah, I think Andrew Wilson was really just dodging the question and just not answering that question. I think is the bigger thing, because I agree, like saying, oh no, we're not using those HD remasters to fill in gaps because of delayed development on our bigger titles. Our big titles, like one that's very far away and one that's definitely not coming this year, because we've already said it's not coming this year, those are going great. That's a really weird statement, but he has to hold his cards close to his chest, because there's a good chance that it could be Mass Effect like everyone wants it to be, and he doesn't want to say that. He wants it to be a big old announcement during the EA Play event at IGN Games.
Which is happening.
So if it is indeed Mass Effect, the Nintendo Life pulled up some very good news for us. So that rumored HD remaster of the Mass Effect trilogy might also be coming to Switch. Thank you, Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life, who pointed out that Jeff Grubb of VentureBeat, who has leaked many Nintendo announcements recently, such as Mario's 35th anniversary plans and the delayed June Direct, and then also what we talked about with the PlayStation stuff. What did he leak for PlayStation again? What was that?
Leaked my brain out my ears. That's what it was. I don't remember.
100%. So he believes that the EA HD title is indeed the Mass Effect trilogy, and it will come to Switch after other consoles.
It was the June 4th event revealing the PS5. That's what he said.
Yeah. So if they announce the Mass Effect trilogy, and even if they say, hey, it's going to come to Switch later, I will hold off for Switch. That is like a great place to play that game. Oh, I would want that. So I just bought them again on Xbox, and I would buy them again if they were on Switch.
I was just thinking, like, how much better would a Switch version of these games be than the already Xbox One enhanced, like, backwards compatible versions?
They wouldn't even look that good.
Right? It would look worse than those do. So, like, why would you play it again on Switch? It would look worse.
I mean, it would look better than the 360 and PS3 versions for sure, but it wouldn't look as good as like a 4K up-res of Mass Effect on Xbox. That wouldn't happen, but it'd still be on Switch and portable.
For all those places we're going right now.
Yeah, all those places we're going. Well, I mean, bed, the couch.
You're right.
Those
Project
are places
X-Cloud,
that
buddy.
I can go
Project
to.
Project xCloud coming this year.
Outside of the Mass Effect trilogy, allegedly, and Burnout Paradise, EA's offerings on Switch are beginning to ramp up. EA will launch 14 games this year with, quote, multiple for Switch. Tom Phelps at Eurogamer tells us. What these games are remains a total mystery for right now. We don't know what these other multiple games coming to Switch are, although, like we just said, it's probably going to be Mass Effect trilogy based on our own speculation. But regardless, it's good to see EA's finally giving the Switch some love, because they really haven't been doing that at all. I actually think said they weren't going to make games for the Switch
right
for a
off
while.
the bat. Yeah, they supported it with what, it was FIFA. It was like a really shitty version of FIFA.
Oh yeah,
and then they said
and no one wanted to buy it. No one wanted to play it.
Nobody bought it, so we're not going to be supporting the Switch really at all. And now finally the Switch has sold 55 million units, and they can't ignore it. And now they're like, okay, I guess we'll do it, but we're going to be really, really, really late to it.
Here's the thing, though, because with EA, there's always like a caveat. You can't just they can't do anything right exactly, unless it's Titanfall 2. That's that they did that right exactly, except for the marketing of it. See, even there they didn't do it. They didn't do it right.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to think. Was Titanfall 2 when Respawn was part of EA? Okay.
Yeah. It was because they released it like a week before Battlefield 5 or something like that.
That's right.
And so like no one paid attention to Titanfall 2. So they botched the marketing, but that game was really good. So anyway, here's how EA dropped the ball this week. They dropped the ball on cross-generational support going into the next generation. So EA, this is from Sumit Sarkar at Polygon, EA is already making next-gen upgrades confusing, and dear God, why? So during Microsoft's Inside Xbox event this week, also known as the 2020 Xbox event, EA unveiled Madden NFL 21 with the promise of cross-generation support and a free upgrade to next-gen. They did not offer any caveats or any
there was no fine print at the bottom of the screen. Nope.
Nothing. And then it comes out that there's a time window on the free upgrades. NFL 21 must be bought for Xbox One before the end of the year, so before December 31st, 2020, and then you also have to buy your Xbox Series X before March 31st, 2020. So if you don't do that, then you have to then pay to get the Series X version and all these Series X enhancements.
That's so stupid. There are so many things that are wrong with this.
Yeah.
One, we're predicting a lot of supply shortages for these consoles at launch. There's no guarantee you'll be able to find one by March 31st. Two, what does it cost? Do I buy it for full price and then have to pay full price again on the next one? Is it an upgrade fee of $10 like it was for the other cross generation from PS3 to PS4? Like, there are so many things wrong with this. Does that even qualify as smart delivery? Like, can they not legally, because Xbox decides it, not the law, but can they put the smart delivery stamp on it if there's a timed window on it and nothing else has that stamp on it? Can they advertise this in the trailer, which lives forever? So if someone sees this trailer after December 31st, I'm like, oh man, that's really cool. I can get this for free and upgrade, and then suddenly you're out of luck. There's so many things wrong with this. I hate it.
It also has that stupid like rebate logic where like we'll give you this money back if you do the rebate, and they know no one's going to do it, so they know the rebate doesn't really matter at all. And it's like I feel the same way about this, where we put these time frames on it, so if you don't get it done before that, which no one will, then we get to charge people twice for the game. Isn't that awesome? But also like I'm thinking about the people who play Madden aren't generally like super hardcore like players who would necessarily care about getting like 4K graphics in Madden. I think a lot of people who play Madden would be totally fine playing the Xbox One version of Madden on their Series X if they don't want to, like, because I can't imagine someone paying $60 more to get a mildly improved version of a mildly improved game to begin with. Like, it's just, this is such a customer hostile thing. It's not surprising. EA
to play devil's advocate kind of along those lines, my only thought process that makes this not okay, but not as egregious, is that Madden NFL is a yearly franchise that comes out in August every single year. And the people who want to buy that game will probably buy it in August or September. Like, they're not going to be buying it after December 31st. With the exception of maybe somebody who's like picking it up used for $20 at GameStop 3 years later. It's like, oh, Madden? Yeah, great. So it's not really going to impact all of the hardcore fans because they're already going to have bought it before March 31st. And then if they're not, December 31st. And then if they are the kind of people who are like, I want to play Madden now, and then they don't necessarily care about getting the newest console or the newest console even on time, then by the time they do finally get their Series X and the next one's out on August 31st, they're not going to care about whether 21 was backwards compatible because they're going to have 22 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that it doesn't fucking... Yeah, it's a super consumer hostile move on EA's part for no reason.
I totally agree with you. I think I think what you said is completely spot on, to the point where if there's that little amount of people who would actually utilize this upgrade to its fullest capabilities, they're not going to lose much money anyway. So like they'll make it all up in microtransactions to sell you a orange version of that jersey instead of a purple one, like whatever they decide to do.
And if you're going to fuck it up like this,
Yeah.
why even put smart delivery in there as an option at all? Like, honestly, it would look worse for your company to announce, we're supporting smart delivery with all of these caveats that are going to fuck you over, than it would to be one of the other companies that are just kind of staying quiet and not saying we support it.
Mm-hmm. It's also especially amazing when you have a company like CD Projekt Red that is going to release one game for a while. And they're saying, yeah, absolutely. You buy it for Xbox One, it goes to Series X. Like like CD Projekt Red has more on the line with Cyberpunk 2077 than EA will ever have with any of their sports titles ever. Like, period. So it's just really surprising. But this is EA we're talking about, so it's not surprising. What is surprising is our next story. Our next story, I think, is super cool. It's not often that we get to see canceled projects, but this week we might have gotten one of the best-looking canceled projects that I have personally ever seen. So this is a headline from Matthew Olson at Eurogamer. An abandoned Prince of Persia project surfaces on YouTube. Most surprisingly about this is the clip isn't new at all. It was first posted to YouTube on March 1st, 2012, so it's 8 years old and got no attention. It's also worth mentioning that the footage isn't real gameplay, but it's pre-rendered to demonstrate gameplay concepts. But with all that said, the game is called Prince of Persia Redemption, and it looks pretty much similar to what my uninformed view of Prince of Persia is. Like, it seems very much like those other games, where you have combat, platforming, all in the third-person perspective, and then you have like some sort of time-reversing ability. The clip is about 3 minutes long. Did you watch the clip, Chad? Okay. Yeah, so it's about 3 minutes long, and it's essentially looks like it's combining what we would look at nowadays as God of War and Uncharted and kind of combining them like into one almost. I don't know if you got that vibe. That's kind of the vibe that I got.
Maybe like old school God of War. Definitely. Yeah. Not the new God of War for sure. It looks very, very much actually like your traditional Prince of Persia. Not quite what you would see in like the updated one with Nolan North from 20 whatever year that was, 2009, 2008. Yeah, but it looks cool as a concept, and it's like a cool little piece of history that it's out there. But I don't know. Looking at that trailer doesn't really do anything for me, and I'm like not saying, "Oh man, I wish we would have gotten that game." It looks like more Prince of Persia, which I really was uninterested outside of the one game I played on PSP, and then I really liked the Nolan North reboot of it, but the rest of it never did anything for me.
I think what got me on this is keeping in mind this is a demo from 2012, and it looks good for 2012. It looks really good for 2012, but again, it's pre-rendered. It's not actual gameplay. But I liked that concept they're going for, where you're essentially navigating on top of these buildings as all this pandemonium and chaos is happening. Buildings are collapsing and falling apart, and you don't know why. And then it's revealed that like this tentacle monster thing is coming out of the city and picking up the city on its back with it. So you're trying to get up to the tentacle monster so you can follow it. So then in the demo there, they showed you're basically doing parkour on a moving city as you try to get to the front and kill this monster. And there's this totally God of War moment where you jump up to the monster and like go to stab it. I thought it was a really cool demo. If I had seen that at E3 or something like that, I would have been very impressed and pumping my fist in the air. I thought it looked really, really cool. And there are rumors of a new Prince of Persia game, but this is totally unrelated. This has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, there was
at all.
I don't remember who was saying this. I think it was one of the devs or maybe somebody who worked at Ubisoft. But somebody was saying that usually pitches for Prince of Persia get turned down a lot more than other games at Ubisoft because Ubisoft doesn't own all of the rights to Prince of Persia, or they have to pay somebody else in order to license that. So it's less profitable for them. So that might be why we don't see this franchise as often as we see everything else that Ubisoft makes. But I like the idea of the franchise, and it's cool, like the quick time mechanics and the world that it's in, the rewind time. Like, it's cool. I wouldn't mind seeing another.
Yeah. Chad, do you want to do an
Yes, I do. Let me tell you about Respawn Aim Fire's parent company, Affable Idiots. Yeah, that's the brand that we fall under, along with our sister podcast, AAWI, and hopefully so much more, as long as we have your support, because we need a ton of things from you. But let's start with the free, easy ones that literally take you none time. The amount of time that it takes a nun to roll down the hill. It got myself on that one. You need to go to YouTube. Are you on YouTube right now? Are you watching this? You need to go to your podcast service. Are you there right now? Are you watching this? Look in the description and then hit subscribe on the links of this page, of the AAWI page, and Affable Idiots, because we need vanity names. YouTube.com/Affable Idiots. YouTube.com/RespawnAimFire. So we can easily tell you, hey, go to YouTube.com/ is what we have to tell you now, and that's garbage. So just do that. Go there, create multiple accounts, subscribe under multiple accounts. We're like a fifth of the way there on Respawn Aim Fire's account. Do your duty, or we're going to come find you, and we're going to tell Dallas your address, and he's going to come murder you. But again, allegedly. Like, Dallas is innocent until proven guilty, so prove him guilty. Second, go to your favorite podcast service, review us, leave us a review of 5 stars. If you leave us 4 stars, I don't even know why you're here right now. Next, finally go to patreon.com/RespawnAimFire. You can give us $1, and that will get you all of our Patreon exclusive stuff, like we mentioned, our Nintendo night, our regular game night, and our barf. You get influence over barf each month as well. So you can find out what we're going to be playing a little bit early, vote on it. And that is, what is it this month? Oh, The Order 1886. We put out that poll. Our patrons voted. That's what we're playing. So whether you're a patron or not, download 1886 onto your PS4, play it along with us, and then send us your thoughts on the game before the end of the month. We'll talk about it on the air as we talk about the game. Okay, Dallas says, Cozy walked into the C4 charge. He was at fault. Nah, bruh. That's not what the people saw on the screen just now.
I just want to point out, too, Dallas usually is on the side of guilty, and conveniently, when he's on trial, he's innocent. Just saying, Dallas.
Hypocrite.
Just
Tell
saying.
him what he'd do.
If he only paid attention, he'd know I always blow the hatch. I didn't know that, Dallas.
If somebody asked me, hey, does Dallas always blow the hatch? I'd be like, what are you talking about? What hatch?
Yeah.
Lost 2?
I know he blows up Alex.
Lost.
I know he blows up Alex.
Yeah, I've seen him shoot me in the head.
He blows that up.
I've seen him blow up Alex, and this is all in real life. Are we talking about video games? Mm-hmm. What hatch? See? Let's move on to our main quest, Holdy.
Main quest. Microsoft reveals third-party Series X games. Ooh.
I don't know what that was.
Since December, Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga has been our only glimpse of next-gen game footage. This week, that changed with announcements from Microsoft and screenshots of a new Lord of the Rings game, Lord of the Rings Gollum. We've talked about it before. I do want to look at the Lord of the Rings Gollum first. That's going to be coming to next-gen consoles and PC next year. Just talk about those screenshots really quick, and then we'll jump into the Xbox stuff, because I thought this is kind of relevant enough. What did you think of these screenshots of Lord of the Rings Gollum? There's 3 of them.
Yeah, there are 3 screenshots out there. I can't believe these are screenshots. These look more like concept art to me, and I'm going to say prove it.
Yep. Not only does it looks kind of, yeah, that's a good point. It looks like concept art. It also doesn't look like next gen to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's the fault of Daedalic Entertainment, who made the game. I think they're a smaller studio, and they tend to make more like narrative-based games along the lines, not exactly a Telltale, but they kind of do more of that style. And if you look at one of the screenshots, they kind of show this. It's like a close-up of Smeagol's face, and there's decisions around him that seem to center around choosing the Smeagol side or the Gollum side, which is something they've kind of talked about in the past. I think for their marketing, release some screenshots, show what your version of Smeagol looks like. That's good and all, but they must have known that they're showing off some of the first PS5 screenshots, and that people were going to criticize it based on that. So I feel like there's an expectation for this game to be a AAA Lord of the Rings game along the lines of Shadow of Mordor. Don't expect that. That's not what this game looks like it's going to be. And I don't mean that in like, this game is going to suck. I don't know anything about this game. I really don't know like what it plays like or anything like that. But yeah, that was kind of an odd move. But we did get that first look at Series X gameplay. So I'm going to run through the announcements. We'll talk about how we feel about it. There were some controversies that we'll discuss after we share our own thoughts. And then we'll talk about what some of our lifelong friends had to say, what they wanted to see. So they started off the Series X event here with Bright Memory Infinite, which is an FPS made originally by a single person. I had to look this up. It was originally made as a Kickstarter single person, but he brought more people on.
Okay.
So what you saw was not just him, but it was still a very small team, and it's still extremely impressive. I had to go as far as to say that was the best looking demo or video they showed at the event.
In terms of gameplay, yes. For a gameplay-focused event,
yeah.
yes, that was the best gameplay.
After that, the head of global portfolio, Damon Baker, who previously did the Indie World stuff for Nintendo. He used to be the head of kind of those videos. He's doing this for Microsoft now. He reassured that all the footage seen at the event will be gameplay captured in-engine to give you the, quote, feel of next-gen games. So then they showed off Dirt 5 next. It's worth mentioning it's also coming to PS5, PS4, and Xbox One. So it's a cross-gen title. They jumped into Scorn, which is a title we've known about for a few years now, but looks cool. That's a sci-fi horror game. They jumped into Chorus, a space combat shooter from Deep Silver, which is the publisher of like Metro. Then we already talked about Madden NFL 2021. They showed literally a few seconds of gameplay. They showed another cross-gen title, which is Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. And they showed off the beautiful Call of the Sea. That looks gorgeous. The Ascent is a cyberpunk isometric RPG. That seems to be next-gen exclusive. The Medium, the next game, is a next-gen exclusive. It's a horror game, and it's coming this holiday. Scarlet Nexus is a cel-shaded third-person action RPG. Is the next one they showed off. The last three here. Second Extinction is a dinosaur shooty-shoot game where you shoot dinosaurs, and you shoot them, and that's what that game's about. You shoot dinosaurs.
Shut up.
And then Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is also coming to PS5. I'm pretty sure that's cross-gen as well, but I didn't verify
the way that it looks, it should
be.
be.
Had the Assassin's... Yeah, I know. It definitely is, but I don't know for sure. It's just from how it looks, you can tell. And then Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay was finally revealed. So, Chad... Yeah, exactly. What did you think of the Xbox Series X gameplay reveal event?
Oh, man. They even said up front, like, oh, this is going to be running in engines. You can get a feel for the gameplay of these games. And I, straight off the bat, I was like, maybe 20% of these were recognizable as gameplay. And that's not a statement saying, like, oh, my God, this looks so good. I couldn't even tell if it was cutscene or gameplay. It was like, no, it's like, that's obviously not gameplay, what we're seeing on the screen right now.
If you had said, like, the Medium, for example, if you had said that was a cinematic trailer, totally would have believed you. But it was a cinematic made in engine.
Exactly. And that's what they were. The messaging of it all was just so bad because they set us up for failure. They set themselves up for failure, and they set our expectations too high for what we were about to see. That being said, there are actually a few games on here I'm pumped about. Like The Medium, what you just brought up, The Medium, actually kind of looks like a cool game. It has some people from the Silent Hill series kind of on board, which people love that series. I've never really played one of the games, but I've always wanted to. I know Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is kind of a joke, but I'm kind of into it. Like, just the theme of that trailer and the people's faces being all distorted and shit like that. I was like, I'm kind of into this weird shit.
How is it a joke? I haven't heard of this as a joke.
Well, because Vampire the Masquerade itself is like not really I'm not going to say it's not a worthwhile game, but it's not a game that reviewed well or people hold in high regard.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2, I'm like kind of interested in. And
so it'd be like having a sequel to like The Order 1886, where like wasn't reviewed very well, didn't sell very well.
Maybe. I feel like though Vampire the Masquerade is still like a AA title compared to Order 1886. When you play it, you can still kind of feel like it's a AAA game, but
yeah.
But Scorn, which looks like kind of a more gruesome looking version of the Alien universe, Like it got huge vibes of Alien from this. It looks super spooky. And as you mentioned, like it was shown off, I think in 2017 for the first time. But seeing this reignited interest for me for sure.
There is also gameplay, like 15-minute chunks of gameplay of that available online to watch. I've seen that footage like years ago, and that game is like weird. All your weapons and guns are biological. Like when you reload your gun, you're actually putting like a little. Like my memory might not be serving right here, but like you basically put this like alien like bug looking thing as your ammo as you like reload it, and it like doesn't want to go in the gun. Like it looks like it's going to be a really interesting, unique experience.
Yeah, that looks like it's going to be
optimized for the Series X.
Thank God. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be really cool. But then you see things like Yakuza Like a Dragon, which literally looks like early PS4, maybe really, really good PS3 game in the terms of like the character models and the animations. Like I was so surprised that at an event dedicated to the first time we ever see what gameplay looks like on this brand new console coming out this fall, and that's one of the main games that they show off. Like that's one of their headlines is Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is important because Xbox traditionally does no sales in Japan. Like they have zero support over there. So this is important to like say, hey, this game's not only coming to our console, but it's also optimized for Series X as well. But man, it did not look good. That's not a good way to show what your console's capable of right off the bat.
Yeah, I agree. I wonder how much of this has to do with just how many next-gen games are actually in development versus cross-gen games.
Yeah.
There was that stat we talked about last year, which is that there are 20% of developers are working on games for the next generation, but only 2% of those were actually, 2%. 2% is going to be next-gen exclusive games, and the remaining 18% of that 20% is cross-gen titles. I think that's a big reason why we're seeing things like Yakuza Like a Dragon or Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, Madden and NFL 21. A lot of the games here, especially like Dirt 5, I saw that, I'm like, that looks like a racing game from this generation. Oh, it's because it is a racing game from this generation. They're just prettying it up a little bit.
And in their defense,
it's when you get
like
to
games of this generation look amazing. Like people have figured out how to get the most out of these consoles. So when I play something brand new that's at the like made for these generations, like it's sometimes astonishing what I'm looking at. So that's a compliment.
Yeah.
But it's like we gotta see what's next. We gotta justify why these new consoles exist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you see things like Bright Memory Infinite, I mean that looked fucking incredibly good. And I don't mean that as like, oh, it was made by a single person. For a single person made game, it looks really good. Like for a small team, that looks like a AAA caliber experience. I mean, I don't know what the full experience is, but like that vertical slice we just saw totally looks like a AAA game. I was totally blown away by that footage to begin with. And then when they said afterwards, oh, and by the way, an extremely small team worked on that, holy shit. That was amazing to me. And I think that because of things like that, especially Bright Memory Infinite starting off the event, when you get to the end and you're at Yakuza and you're like, ooh, that doesn't look as good. It stands out more because it doesn't look as good as something else you just saw in this exact event. So that was interesting. But you get to things like Call of the Sea, which essentially just looks like a walking simulator. That game also looked beautiful, like a cel-shaded art style with really incredible lighting coming in through the trees. There was one shot where your character was in a desert, and there are all these kind of objects that are being obscured by a sandstorm, but you can still see light coming through the sandstorm and like faintly coming through the objects as well. And I just look at that going like, holy shit, that is something I don't see in this generation right now. That looks unbelievably good.
Yeah.
And then some of the other games that also looked really good, like visually wise, like if you're trying to critique this based on it being new hardware and capable of more, like the Ascent looks really cool, but when you're showing an isometric RPG, it's not exactly the most jump out at you kind of experience. Like they're showing all this footage for the Ascent that's like the world, the people talking, the characters talking. I'm like, this looks really good, and they switched to isometric downward perspective, and I'm like, there just wasn't a lot in this that made me jump. Now, I think a big part of that is that we haven't seen the first party stuff, so we don't know what Microsoft's new studios are working on. But I don't think the event was a complete failure, but I definitely do think it was misrepresented, specifically by Phil Spencer kind of hyping it up last week, saying we're going to reveal the games like sooner than you think. I think that got people a little bit too worked up. And I can't remember if they announced it or if it was a rumor, like a leak, but there was some sort of like confirmation that there's going to be an event every month, and that this event wasn't going to have like the first party stuff. Like, don't expect Halo, don't expect that kind of stuff. I can't remember, was that a rumor or was that an official announcement ahead of time?
That was official announcement.
Either way, it didn't permeate enough. It was okay. It didn't permeate well enough.
I agree.
Definitely not. In the same way that like Sony's messaging didn't permeate well enough. It's a similar kind of way to that. But I think that Microsoft fortunately has enough goodwill with all their super strong on-point messaging throughout this year that this isn't going to hurt them. People are just kind of going like, oh, okay, but now I'm looking forward to at least July. And I think, like, to me, like, that's the difference between this and Sony's kind of downfalls so far, is after this I went, ooh, okay, that wasn't, like, it was, I'm not as harsh as other people are on it, but I definitely like, totally understand all the complaints, and I feel a lot of them too. But I know that in July we're going to see some more stuff. I know that time frame exists. Whereas like Sony, it's like that event Road to PS5 totally fucking sucked. I still don't know like when the next thing is going to happen. So like I think Microsoft's totally going to bounce back from this, no problem at all. But people are still really upset about this. After the event, many people online were let down by the reveal, especially. Before I get to that, we didn't even talk about Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Oh God, yeah,
yet, because there wasn't really
the big gameplay reveal, and it was like maybe if you caught it, there were 2 or 3 seconds within the entire minute-long trailer that they showed.
Yeah, it's like they needed to create a distinction between not using the term gameplay. If they just said we're going to show you in-engine footage of these games, I don't think there would be any backlash, but they kept saying gameplay in engine like together as one, and they're not the same thing. It's like a square is a rectangle, but a rectangle isn't a square. It's like the same like thing. Like it doesn't work that way. And also mentioning at the beginning, like it'll give you the feel for next gen games. That Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay reveal did not in any way do that.
And part of that, you're right. They specifically mentioned feel of next gen games. And part of that is not just graphics and the way that these look, and we're all judging these games based on how they looked. They don't look next gen. They don't look next gen. But there's such a challenge with these next consoles that there's only so much ray tracing and things like that can do. But why do these consoles exist? Like the speed of the SSD, making loading times. Like these are really hard things to show. And I don't feel like this event was successful at all in showing me why these games are going to be better on Series X. They had a badge that said they're better on Series X. I don't know why, though. Does it look better?
Yeah.
Does Yakuza look even worse on a regular Xbox One X than it did on the Series X?
Absolutely. They should have shown comparisons. Yeah. Like, this is what it looks like on Xbox One. This is what it's like on Series X.
When they announced the Xbox One X, every single time they showed a trailer, they said, this game runs at 60 frames a second at 4K. This game runs at 4K 30. Like, these are why it's demonstrably better on One X. And there were a couple of things that are like facts, like Dirt 5, for instance. I don't think they mentioned it in the trailer reveal, but that game will run at 120 frames a second at 1080p or 4K 60.
That's really impressive.
That's really impressive. Like, that's the kind of information that I want to know about why is this optimized? Why is this better on Series X? That I feel like we got none of that for any of these.
Yeah, and I feel like with something like ray tracing, to point on that too, that'd be easy to show off. Here's what it looks like without ray tracing. This is what it looks like with ray tracing. I mean, that's been NVIDIA's marketing strategy for the RTX cards since the beginning. On, off. Look at what it looks like. On, off. Look at the difference. And they didn't do anything like that. Yeah, I think it's a great point. And we're not alone. I think a lot of people are feeling exactly what we're feeling as well. In fact, Tom Marks of IGN wrote a whole article titled, "You May Need to Lower Your Expectations for Next-Gen Graphics." And I just have like a small little summary of the article, but I encourage reading it and getting your own thoughts about it as well. Tom Marks argues that the advances in next generation won't be visual in a major sense, but rather in simulations, in subtle advancements like water and hair physics. The SSDs will also improve gameplay in ways hard to demonstrate in a trailer. That's the gist of kind of what he's saying. I read the full article. I don't agree with him, but I agree with his sentiment. What do you think about it?
Yeah, as I just kind of mentioned, like visuals are not going to be as big of a leap I guess we say this every generation, or at least I just remember it so much from the PS3 to PS4 generation. But yeah, visuals are not going to be as big of a leap as we're used to in the past because we're just it's hard to get more photorealistic than we already are with real-time simulation. So again, these other reasons of why these next-gen consoles are going to be they're just difficult things to show off aside from turning on and off ray tracing for sure. Or showing this is what it looks like at 60 frames a second. This is 120 frames a second while everyone's watching a 30 frames per second YouTube stream. Like it's hard to see the difference.
Yeah. The sentiment I got from the article is kind of offering a comparison. Like think about like iPhone upgrades, for example. Like I used to be the kind of person who upgrade every year a new iPhone came out because when they say it's twice as fast, I'm like, oh my God, that means so much. But now when they say it's, it's twice as fast, I'm like, yeah, my phone's already really fucking fast, so
right.
I don't need to like upgrade. I don't have that desire. And I think that he's basically saying like that plateau for graphics, we've kind of hit that where you can make these improvements, but it won't be as apparent. And I agree with that sentiment to an extent, but I also really disagree with it because we've seen footage like Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga, that looks shockingly good. It looks incredible. Like to me, Hellblade 2 does look definitively next gen.
But again,
where
that was not
it does
gameplay.
hit more. That was an engine, though. That was an engine.
But it wasn't.
So,
gameplay.
but like with that water, the water, like the fire effects, the Senua's facial expressions, like all that, that's running real time. That's unbelievable. So I think the bigger issue is just it's cross gen. And you're having all these titles that are going to look largely similar to what you had before because they can't make with the SSD in mind. They can't take full advantage of the CPU or the GPU in a way because they're still kind of limited by what they can achieve on the previous generation consoles. I think that's the bigger hurdle, not so much that we've hit this plateau. I think the plateau is photorealism, and we're definitely not there yet. But I think that where he's right is that the differences are going to be in like subtle hair effects and water effects. But I do think that if you add all those things up, like we saw in the Hellblade 2 trailer, it does amount to something that you can notice immediately. Right. But it's harder to pinpoint exactly what it is that looks better about it. You can say something like, yeah, the water looks great. And then an engineer will come in and tell you, oh, yeah, we got that because of, and he'll, just throw a bunch of jargon at you that you don't really know what it means because it's extremely technical. I think that's the biggest hurdle we're going to reach is it's going to be very hard to explain this stuff. To kind of piggyback off what you're saying, too, about like 120 frames per second, 1080p, and having that kind of marker on there for why this game is better, I think that works in like the Dirt 5 example. I think it's harder to do that when we're already at 4K and we're already at 30 frames per second for most games. And a lot of games are still going to be probably at 4K 30 frames per second. Like I'd be surprised if Hellblade 2 was running at 4K 60, looking as good as it did in that video back in December. So I feel like it's just going to be a interesting transition.
Does that give you a big old, like you're talking about how cross-gen takes so much into account for why these games might look the way that they do. Does that give you a giant boner knowing that Sony doesn't necessarily commit to cross-gen for its first-party games? And knowing that when we finally see the first one, we might bleed out of our eyes?
Yeah, so that's why I said I'm not going to talk about the Sony event thing right now. I'll hold off my thoughts till right now. So Sony has the ability to take back the thunder right now because, just like you said, if they can show off what an SSD is actually capable of with a game by showing us hypothetically God of War 2 Ragnarok, whatever it's going to be called, or God of War Ragnarok, and we can see what it's capable of, they can totally steal the thunder from Microsoft before they announce their first-party games in July. Like, this is their opportunity. They need to do this very soon, like next few weeks. Please don't wait more than a month. Please don't wait more than a month. Mostly because I'm just being selfish and I want to see these games. But also I feel like, Microsoft didn't have their strongest showing. They didn't show games that exemplified next gen. And I think Sony has the ability to do that better than Microsoft did. Just like you said, because they're not doing the cross-gen thing. Well, to what we know about
they
right
haven't
now,
made a public commitment to it like Microsoft has.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was another interesting thing.
Absolutely.
I forget who tweeted it, but there was someone in the video games industry tweeted that it felt like Microsoft had a collection of games that were ready to show off, and not necessarily the collection of games it wanted to show off. Like, they were like, let's make an event, third-party games, what's available? Oh, great, we've got 7, 8 things that are ready to go. But it's not necessarily the ones that are like, I want to make sure you're ready to show off your game because I think that's going to be a system seller. I think so. Like, it was a circumstance rather than a plan.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a way to look at it. I think another way of looking at it is, since we don't know because we don't know what's going on behind the scenes, is that this is kind of their first Xbox 2020 event. And like the first Sony State of Play was really kind of garbage because they don't want to, blow their load too quickly. Like, this is showing some stuff, but next month we're going to get some more stuff. A month after that, we're going to get some more stuff. August, more stuff. So they don't want to reveal everything quite yet. And we'll talk about this in a second, but they set the expectations a little too
And if
high.
you think, like, this was the first Xbox 2020 event, but it wasn't actually originally revealed as that. It was just another Inside Xbox.
Yeah.
And then a few days before, they're like,
and
no, this is actually part of a bigger thing we decided we're doing. Every month we're going to do something new. So, like, obviously this wasn't part of the plan from the beginning to make this part of this huge...
Yeah. Last night over some wine, we decided.
Right?
Yeah. So we've talked about how, like, I don't think we hated the event, but I think we were kind of feeling the same way. We didn't hate it, but
I
it
was not appointed.
in some ways.
I was disappointed.
I was not appointed. Both Assassin's Creed Valhalla's creative director and the general manager of Xbox Games Marketing came out to apologize for improper expectations going in. So that's something you don't see very often. So Xbox's Aaron Greenberg says recent Xbox Series X showcase was set up with wrong expectations. He tweeted, "Had we not said anything and just shown May inside Xbox show like we did last month, excuse me, I suspect reactions might have been different. Clearly, we set some wrong expectations, and that's on us. We appreciate all the feedback and can assure you, we will totally I'm blanking out there, and can assure you we will take it all in and learn as a team." And then he does the prayer hands,
thoughts and
and then
prayers.
a green heart.
Oh, green
and then
heart because of Xbox. I get it.
Yup. And then Asaraf Ismail of the creative director of Valhalla, he tweeted, "Hello all, you rightfully expected to see more today. We have a long marketing campaign ahead of us. You will see in-depth gameplay and get a lot more info about the game. Thank you for your excitement and passion. Be patient with us and be kind. It'll be worth it." Chad, do you feel like that was a strong enough sentiment? Do you feel like they love you?
I do feel like they love me. Mostly because they sent me $100 in the mail to say that. Just kidding, they didn't. But no, I appreciate that they got out in a timely manner and just like, yeah, guys, we fucked up. We set the wrong expectation, but don't worry, we've got a plan. Like, I feel like this is the right step, and they did everything that they could and should have done. And I can't wait to see what's next. Because I really am excited about all of these things that we saw. Except for Yakuza.
Oh, yeah.
But...
oh, Yakuza, like a dragon. You don't want to play that?
It looks awful.
Yeah, I think this was really good of them to do. I wish Sony did this after their Road to PS5 event.
Right.
I really wish that because it feels like Microsoft wants to have this relationship and communication with the community, and that to me goes a long way. And I really feel like I was really sour and down after Road to PS5. I had really negative things to say. And I think I actually would have been more down on this had they not kind of come out and been like, "Hey guys, all right, we get it." It's always nice to see companies do that. I think companies just in general have this tendency to be a little narcissistic, and they can never make any faults. We'll never acknowledge anything we've ever done wrong. And I always gain so much respect for a company when they just come out and be like, "Yeah, that was not great."
Yep. 100%.
So it's nice to see. And it wasn't just Microsoft, though. It was also, Ubisoft with Assassin's Creed. Just very cool stuff all around. But like I said, we still felt like we could have seen some more. And it seems like some of our lifelong friends kind of felt the same way. We asked on Twitter yesterday, on Saturday, May the 9th. Yeah,
May the 9th be with you, yeah.
What our lifelong friends wanted to see out of the event that they didn't see. Matt said, at Matt from RI, said that he wanted to see In the Valley of Gods, which is the game from the developers
Camposanto,
of Firewatch. Yeah. Camposanto, yeah. Who was bought by Valve.
Right. I don't think you're going to see that
I
one because that team went on to go and help with Half-Life Alyx, and they essentially shelved that game.
They did,
So,
yeah.
I don't know if
but
we'll see that
I
one.
got vibes. I know where he's coming from, though, because I got vibes of that, seeing the Call to the Sea. I literally said out loud we were watching it, oh, is this in the Valley of Gods? Like, this looks very, very similar to that. So, yeah, it would have been nice to see that. And then Brent, who is at Porkchop in 1984, said he wanted to see Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I did, too.
Me too. I really wish that was there in any capacity.
Chad, any closing thoughts on Microsoft's Xbox Series X Inside Xbox? Just kidding. Wait, it's actually called Xbox 2020 event.
No, I'm very excited. And I said no, and then here are my thoughts that I'm going to have. I'm very excited for July's first party one. I'm really, really grateful for their continued marketing strategy of having something every single month and communicating that up front. So I am excited for the continuance of their marketing campaign and to see what's next.
Yes, I think their campaign has still been very good thus far. I don't think this has put a damper on Series X for me. Moving on, we got a subscriber interrogative from the chat from one DFN Schmitty, who we should I don't want to character assassinate anyone here, but he's on trial for murder right now. And I needed to say that.
So take his question with a grain of salt. He's on trial for murder.
DFN Schmitty, Dallas Smith, said, release one now, kill one, delay one. So iteration of Muck, Marry, Kill. The Last of Us... Fuck, Marry, Kill. The Last of Us Part 2, Avengers, or Cyberpunk. I don't think we're going to be able to agree to this.
No, we're definitely going to make our own because until our conversation like 3 hours ago about Avengers, I was tepid on it. But then we started texting about it, and I drank a lot of pre-workout, and now it's one of the most anticipated things I've ever seen in my life. But here's the thing. Release one now, Last of Us 2. Why? Because it went gold. It's obviously done, and it's going to work. So release that one right now. I want to play it. Kill one, Cyberpunk. I'm okay with that. I'm not already like super into that game. Again, after every trailer, like there's a gameplay trailer and I'm like, okay. And then there's a story trailer. I'm like, yeah. And then there's a gameplay trailer and I was like, oh, okay, that's gonna lower my expectation. And then there's like, ah. So hold on, what you got going on in your hand? Did you break your finger or something like that? Stuck up?
No, I'm gonna give you the middle finger because you want to kill Cyberpunk. I don't approve. It's not an opinion I can respect.
And then I'm going to delay Avengers, but only by a day.
Only by a day?
Technically it counts as a delay, but we're going to play that. I'm so excited to suit up as Black Widow and just go out there and karate chop the shit out of people with my friends. Can't wait.
So I'll agree with you on releasing now Last of Us Part 2.
Yep.
I want to play that game. I want to play that game real bad. I also, because I'm doing my kind of my 3-week boycott on not playing the game.
I'm not going to call it a hissy fit, but I'm just kidding.
It's not a hissy fit. I'm making a stance.
Proud of you.
So Last of Us Part 2. I'd play that in 3 weeks. It was released right now. Kill Avengers. Just kill that shit. I don't know what that game is. I was telling you guys in the chat. I don't know what it is. I feel like what they have said about that game is so contradictory that I have absolutely no idea what it looks like when I sit on my couch, I have my controller in hand, and I start to play that game. Like, am I starting as a single player and there's a separate multiplayer thing, or is it all wrapped into one? What does a level look like? Because obviously it's a tutorial level that looks kind of bland, to be honest.
And as I said, I agree with you.
Combat.
I know nothing about this game, but what we've made up in our minds sounds so good.
Oh, that's like that could be really bad if it doesn't meet that. I don't know. I'm concerned about that game. I'm just really worried about that game. But delay Cyberpunk. Here's the thing: delay Cyberpunk. Delay that shit until it's a next gen exclusive, and I can just play it on a PS5 on a super fast SSD. Because I'm not gonna lie, I'm really excited for Cyberpunk. It's one of my most hyped games, just period, right now. But it looks really, really ambitious, and I do have this slight concern that there might be some technical hiccups on it running on current-gen hardware. I have nothing to back that statement up at all. All the footage we've seen looks like it runs fantastically, but I would rather play that on a beautiful Series X or a beautiful PS5 with the fancy SSDs and the teraflops that are more teraflops than the teraflops of the PS4 and the Xbox One. I want to play that game in the best possible way I can play it. So delay.
I love the idea that, like, up until maybe 2 months ago, their messaging has been, we might support the next-gen consoles, but our focus is 100% on current gen. And then now they're like, oh yeah, we're going to have an Xbox Series X version of it, not at launch, but it's coming. And now you're like, just delay it till it's not even a current gen thing anymore.
Yeah, I'd rather have the Series X version. Like, hear me out. Like, if you had heard, hey, Last of Us Part 2 is going to support the PS5, wouldn't a little part of you go like, oh, would like to play it for the first time on PS5?
No, I want to play it right now.
See all that.
I mean, that's what I did with The Last of Us 1. Came out, and I mean, they didn't announce that the remaster was happening before the first one came out, but I played it in June of that year. And then as soon as it came out on PS4, I bought it again. I didn't play it again until this year, but I bought it again.
Yeah. See, I played Last of Us Remastered first. I have never played the PS3 version of it. I played the superior version, and I'd like to do that with Cyberpunk.
Did you play it at 60 frames a second or 30 frames a second?
Last of Us? Well, I played it at first on the OG PS4. I didn't have a PS4 Pro.
Oh. But you still had the option for the frame rate. That was part of the upgrade, was like you got the option for the first time to play it at 60 frames a second. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. Okay. I'm going to replay that game again.
You have to.
Before
you have like 6 weeks.
Out. Yeah. Well, I have longer.
No, you have 6 weeks till your birthday. And then we have like 4.5 weeks until the game comes out.
No, it's more than 6 weeks to my
Hey,
birthday.
Siri, how many days until July 4th?
It's 55 days.
55 days. What's 55 divided by 7?
That's 8.
You're 8.
No, it's not. It's 7.5.
You're 7.5.
Roughly 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're both wrong because you weren't exactly right. Moving on to Game On Game Show, the game on our gaming show where we play a game called Game On our game show. Game. Holden, our final segment tonight is a but a new installation of Quiz Me Captain, It's Me, Margaret. It's a game show in 4 rounds that we play. It's all time-based. Oh, let me get my timer out on my phone. Holden, I'm going to ask you a series of video game-related questions. You will have various amounts of time to answer each one.
AKA not enough. It's never enough time.
No, the first round you always have way more time than you need. Are you ready? Round 1, again, is just one question. You have to finish answering the question with whatever the requirements are within 30 seconds. For Quiz Me Captain, It's Me, Margaret. Are you ready for round 1 of Quiz Me Captain, It's Me, Margaret? Holden.
I don't have a choice, so I have to
Remember,
be ready.
if you get through all 4 rounds and complete them, you get a super special secret prize. Round 1.
Pride.
30 seconds. Starts now. Name 5 cities from video games that aren't part of a Nintendo franchise.
Okay. Liberty City, Vice City, San Andreas. And then you're going to have... God
15
damn,
seconds
you mentioned Nintendo, and now that's all I'm thinking about.
10 seconds left.
That's not part of Nintendo franchise. Why can't I fucking do it? Seattle in
5 seconds left. That counts? Yep.
Seattle.
2.
And then...
1.
Fuck.
0. Oh,
I can't do it. I can't do it. Why can't I do it?
All you had to say was New York.
It was so easy.
All you had to say was New York. You were
I was thinking New York, but I'm like, no, that's Liberty City. I'm like, no, but
Division.
Yeah. Division.
You could have said so many cities: New Orleans, Chicago, San Francisco. All of these have video games.
know.
All right. Well, you don't get the super.
But I didn't want to say Chicago and then I have a game to like back it up. I could have
Dogs.
just named a city: Miami, Houston.
Miami. They play basketball there in NBA 2K.
So I couldn't have mentioned any city.
Literally any city probably would have worked. I would have taken it, but you don't get the super secret prize. But we are still going to finish the game. Round 2. There are 3 prompts.
I feel very enticed to keep going, knowing I can't get a prize.
It's just it's a prize of pride, but not super secrecy. Second round, 60 seconds this time. You have 3 prompts. Are you ready for round 2?
Yes.
Of Quiz Me Captain, It's Me, Margaret. 60 seconds on the clock. Starts now. Name 3 games that were shown at this week's Xbox 2020.
Bright Memory,
One,
Infinite, Call of the
two,
Sea, and Yakuza Like a
3.
Dragon.
Name 2 game franchises that start with the letter D. 45
Dark
seconds.
Souls?
Yep.
And Digimon.
That's 2. Last one. In order from left to right, mentally label the presidents featured on Mount Rushmore, 1 through 4. And then list their names in order of 3, 4, 1, 2.
Are you fucking
You
kidding
have
me?
25 seconds.
You have to say it one more time.
You have to
way too
name
much.
them
Okay,
left to
so
right in your
from
head.
left to right.
And then I want you to give me the names of the third one, the fourth one, the first one, then the second one. You have 15 seconds.
The third one, the fourth one, the first one, the second one?
10 seconds.
Okay. Don't even know who they are on the face of Mount Rushmore, so not even worth doing. I'm going to say Herbert Hoover.
Wrong.
Barack Obama.
The correct answer
George
was...
W. Bush and his dad, George H.W. Bush. There we go.
The correct answer, 3, 4, 1, 2, was Theodore Roosevelt, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, and Thomas Jefferson.
Nailed it.
You were not doing well
Nailed it.
this time, Holden.
No, I'm not. I'm not. But it's hilarious, though, so I don't mind.
Round 3, again, is one prompt. It is usually something you have to
Yep.
convince or debate me to do. It is 20 seconds
Yep.
long. Are you ready for round 3 of Quiz Me, Cat, It's Me, Margaret?
Yeah.
20 seconds starts now. Convince me why I should be excited for Marvel's Avengers game from Square Enix.
Oh, see, you're going to be able to play with your friends as superheroes.
Done!
and
You
get to
did it!
decide-
You
and
did
you're-
it! I'm sold!
That was hard. That was impossible.
All right. Final round. Final round. Can you fix your camera? You're out of focus.
Boop.
Boopy, 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 boop. Sex. You are in focus. Great.
Better?
Wonderful. Final round of
Pool.
Quiz Me, Cat,
Pool.
It's Me,
I
Margaret.
said pool, not cool. But pools are cool.
You
so.
pulled focus to yourself. 30 seconds. You need 4 correct answers to complete this round. Again, the final round is usually I name 2 things. One of them is correct and one of them is incorrect based on my own opinion of them. There is no set standard or qualification for a correct answer. Are you ready for round 4, final round
See.
of Quiz Me, Cat, It's Me, Margaret? 30 seconds on the clock. You need 4 answers that are correct. Starts now. Joy-Con or Wiimote? No,
Wiimote.
Joy-Con is so much smaller. Rush the band or Rush the game?
Rush the
No,
band.
you
There's no
idiot. Rush the band? San Francisco 2049. Hell yeah. Jack or Daxter? Yeah,
Jack.
hell yeah. Inverted or standard? Yes, absolutely. Very good. Squirtle or Charmander? Yeah.
Squirtle.
Blastoise or Charizard? Time's up,
Charizard.
but yes, you are correct. That was 4 answers on the last second. You just got it. Very
Boom.
good. Very good. Very good. The next one, just because you'll never see these again, was pregnancy or tooth pain?
I'm going to say tooth
No, the
pain.
correct answer is pregnancy because tooth pain is the worst thing you'll ever feel in your life.
More than pregnancy.
Have you ever had to have a root canal?
Well, pregnancy is not labor. Labor is just the end
That's
of the
right.
pregnancy.
That's right. 9 months of carrying around
There
this
we go.
piece of shit in your belly.
You just get... Yeah, you just get to eat a lot of
Yeah.
food.
I
Sounds
had
great.
to have a root canal. The root canal itself was saving my life because it felt so good. But the tooth pain that caused the need for the root canal was unbearable.
I was saying, the last thing I just said is one of those things that can be totally taken out of context
It
and be
won't.
like,
It's the
Holden
internet.
is a total misogynist. He just said pregnancy is not a big deal. It's just eating a lot of food. He must hate women.
It's the internet. Everyone will get what you meant. Holden, that's it.
What are the others?
Okay,
what
some
are
of
the
the other
other
ones. Waxing your car or painting your room?
Painting your
No,
room.
waxing your car. Come on, Holden.
You don't even
But
have
it goes
a car.
so much faster. Resident Evil 2 Remake or Wind Waker Remastered?
Resident Evil
Hell
2
yeah.
remake for
Do you remember the Northman Cider Bar? Yes or no?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I have Googled it, well, looked it up on Apple Maps to say, just to make sure it's still around for when I go back to Chicago. I'll be like, does it still exist? Awesome, it still exists. That place is fantastic. If you're in Chicago, the Northman Cider Bar, unbelievable.
You
So
obviously
good.
have not Apple Maps it recently enough because it no longer exists as you know it. It is under new management. It is still a cider bar, but under a different name. Jesse just told me this last week. Don't worry, it's essentially the same place.
I'm nervous, though. New management, that might not be a good thing. I'm legitimately nervous. I'm like,
For that
place is
one
not there
time
when I go
90
back to
years
Chicago.
from now that you decide to go back to Chicago and visit and it happens to not be there. Like, this cup
The
is not
next
as clean
time I
as it
go to
was
Chicago,
before.
the first night I will go to the Northman or whatever it's. What's it called now?
I don't know. Look up the address
No.
and see what it says on Apple Maps. I'm sure you have the address memorized.
Well, I want to look up that. I also look up Fountainhead because there was a really good cider bar owned by the same people as Northman called Fountainhead.
Oh.
It was had literally a whole menu of just whiskeys broken down by the country that they're from, what their flavor is. Is it more of a smoky flavor, or is it more of like a? It was.
I don't
amazing.
think you know what
I love that
cider
place.
is.
I'm talking about a whiskey bar right now, not a cider bar.
I think you need to be more clear.
I don't think you know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about at all.
I might just be talking so fast because I'm hyped that just about thinking about that place.
God, you
I'm
loved that
literally
place.
looking it up right now. The Northman, Chicago.
Cider's the tits,
Oh
though.
no!
It is full of sugar.
Beer and cider.
Full of sugar, though.
There might be a different one because there's some place called Northman Beer in Center Garden. I'll look this up later. This is not related to video games.
Thank you, everyone. That's the end of Game On Game Show and the end of our episode this week. You have a few things to do. Go subscribe to us on YouTube. Please go to patreon.com/respawnaimfire. Give us a buck. Get your cool ass wallpapers. Play Order 1886, whether you're a patron or not. Send us your thoughts. THOT, that ho over there. And then go vote in our poll Tuesday morning, the morning that you're listening to this, because you all listened day one, watch day one, and tell us that Dallas is guilty. That's it for Respawn Aim Fire, episode 160. Until next time, here's our usual sign off. Hold on. You're welcome.
That's impressive.
Thank you. Pretty good.